Khair, inshallah. All right. Try to take some questions and a reminder to everybody. Please, your name or your initials, first and last initials, city and state. Inshallah ta'ala. Initials, city and state. Also, don't forget about our lecture, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, our monthly lecture, which is going to be on the 25th of this month at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time with regards to the fiqh of al-Asma al-Husna, part 2. Please come and join us and benefit bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, and show your love and your support to our different endeavors. You're more than welcome, and we appreciate all of your activities, your participation, and your support. Jazakumullahu khairan. Also, don't forget to press the subscribe button to make sure that you get all the notifications. And inshallah, you comment on the videos, like or dislike, whatever you want on the videos. And all of our patrons, the supporters and the donators, we thank you as well. And for those who wish to support our merchandise, our classes, our lectures, and or donate, you can do so via the GoFundMe, via Patreon, via PayPal, via HadithDiscipleshop.com, and via Mufti Ibn Munir on Facebook. And for those who need personal counseling, personal tutoring, or any type of personal structured session in which you know what time it's going to be, you're the only one, you have a personal issue, things that you need specific time and attention for, you can set all of those things up via HadithDiscipleshop.com and via Mufti Ibn Munir on Facebook. Jazakumullahu khairan. All right, so first question says, HA Montreal, Canada, is there any advice, tips you wish you'd have known before traveling overseas for seeking knowledge? I mean that's life, right? You always, look back, hindsight they call it, right? Everybody's using the word hindsight now. Of course you have hindsight. You look, the hadith of Prophet ﷺ says, if I knew what I knew now, what I knew then, what would my Hajj and Umrah would have been? So hindsight, okay? That's anything in life. There's always room for improvement and perfection. But alhamdulillah, I'm pleased with what Allah gave me and how Allah made things for me. Certain things I wish I would have known. I wish I would have had a better understanding and grip of reality of people overseas and how things are not overseas, what to expect and what not to expect. And especially in the actual college with regards to the professors and politics. And how obviously we know that they're human beings, but you have to have a reminder that these different professors are human beings. They have feelings, ups and downs, just like other people have ups and downs. And I'm talking specifically about the master's program. The master's program. I wish I would have known more of the heavier influence of politics and of cliques and gangs and groups and who to talk to, who not to talk to, and how to do things, and not just being so green thinking that everything is just pure hadith and pure ilm. That if I had to pick something, then Allah knows best. All right. Initials AD from Columbus, Ohio. Assalamu alaikum Mufti. What is the rule on buying and selling sports cards? Jazakallahu khair. Well, it's not the worst thing to do. It's not the worst profession or hobby to have. It could be impermissible with regards to those who say that these cards contain surah, and the surah is impermissible. Tasweer, photography, imagery, videography, etc. So those who say that this captured image is impermissible and this is punishable by having Allah asking you to breathe life into it on the day of judgment, which you cannot, is going to clearly apply to sporting cards. And those who say that that's not the case, and that's a different story. Of course, you have the concept of are those athletes dressed properly, spreading them being undressed. You have the concept of loving the kuffar and being amazed with them and showing loyalty and love to them, which is an unfortunate reality of sports. And I'm not going to sit in front of you acting like I don't like sports. I'm not going to sit in front of you acting like I didn't grow up liking sports and loving sports. It was a big part of my life, even to this day. The concept of sports. Sports is a fitna. Straight up, it's a fitna. No other word of it. It's a fitna. Sports are. some sports more than others. But me telling you what's best to do, what's the right thing to do, etc., you know, perhaps another profession, buying and selling, trading is better. Inshallah, better for you. And Allah knows best. But it all depends on your practice of Islam. What's your level of Islam? What are you on? How strong are you? That's to be taken into consideration, right? Allah knows best. SS from Jamaica, New York. May Allah bless you, Sheikh. Can you provide some benefit on Surah Nur, verse 35, the verse where Allah says light upon light? Jazakallahu khair. Tight. May Allah bless you as well. In general and in brief, the concept of goodness upon goodness, guidance upon guidance. Okay, and Surah Nur, and Allah's light, the light of the heavens and the earth, and the concept of the wick, okay, the concept of the olive oil or the olive tree, okay, and the concept of the type of the tree, neither east nor west, etc. The lantern. Allah mentions these parables in the surah, and how yuqadu min shajaratin is lit from a blessed tree, and is virtue after virtue. This light burns from this tree, from this wick, from this oil. Nurun ala nur, light upon light. And how that translates in the life of the believer to guidance. Hajj upon another Hajj, Ramadan upon another Ramadan, one act of ibadah to another act of ibadah, positivity, blessing after blessing. And that the believer is, inshallah, to be light upon light. And the opposite is the opposite. And the parables that were struck in Surah An-Nur, with regards to those being إِذَا أَخْرَجَ يَدَهُ لَمْ يَكَدْ يَرَاهَا. If he stuck his hand out in front of him, he couldn't see it. Okay, the darkness of the night, the clouds beneath the sea, the water. ظُلُمَاتٌ بَعْضُهَا فَوْقَ بَعْضٍ. Allah says darkness upon darkness. The kafir, disobedience, sin, shirk, kufr, negligence, heedlessness, oppression, dhulm, darkness upon darkness. So that's what I would say with regards to that. In brief, and Allah knows best. AP from Philly, Assalamu alaikum. What is the ruling on spouses agreeing not immediately live together? Well, if it's a situation, if they have to, then that's one thing. That's one thing. But that's not the default. That's not the sunnah. That's not the normal orthodox way, right? But some situations may necessitate that. You may not have a choice because of the nature of the situation. So as long as they're both in agreement, there's nothing wrong with that. And Allah knows best. Tayyib. Question says, initial ZH from Chicago, Illinois. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mufti, may Allah Ta'ala bless you and increase you in ilm. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, you as well. Initials JFS from Queens, New York. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Is it advisable for sisters to delay having children in order to be able to have time to acknowledge? Would you take preference? It depends on the sister. Seek knowledge while you can, before you have children, before you get married. If you have a good, suitable spouse that's going to help you seek knowledge, khairan. Balance, inshallah. I'm not going to say wait 50 years until you've memorized everything to have kids. And at the same time, yeah, get something under your belt first. It's not going to hurt you. During the times when you're not married, 40 Hadith Nawawi, memorize some juz from the Quran, learn some Arabic. Get something under your belt. Because when you have children, there's going to be time and attention that's going to be pulled away from you at best, let alone totally moved out the way. So you want to make sure that you're not naked. You have something under your belt when you get married, when you have to serve your husband, when you have to take care of your children. But knowledge is for all times, all places, and all situations. And if your husband is supportive, he's going to be supportive. And no matter how busy your children make you, it's always time to seek knowledge if you want to. Allah knows best. Type. Initials, does it mention? AF, Columbus, Ohio. How can the seeker of knowledge recall what he wants to quote as evidence? Practice makes perfect. Repetition of the repeated. And repeated of repetition. That's it. Practice makes perfect. Keep doing it. Keep quoting it. Keep teaching. Keep debating. Keep researching. And it'll stick in your mind. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. CW, San Francisco, California. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. As for what you mentioned about Ibn Umar, was he alone in saying that he deemed marriage to a Christian girl as impermissible? I don't know about that. I'm unfamiliar with that. I don't know. Allah adri. NB, from Dadyal Azad, Kashmir. Assalamu alaikum. I heard an Islamic speaker say that a woman needs to pay charity for the days of her menses, but I can't find much info on this. Can you please help? Jazakallah khairan. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. I don't know anything about that. I've never read any hadith or any verse. I've never heard any scholar say anything like that, that a woman has to pay for her menstruation. Never heard anything like that. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hayyakum Allah. I've never heard of anything like that. Initials STA from Karachi, Pakistan. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. Can you explain the manhaj of the Salaf narrating from Ahl al-Bid'ah? As you mentioned, Hassan al-Basri taking hadith from Mu'tazila leaders. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Well, we've done lectures on this, in which we've quoted from some original sources with regards to, did the ulama and the Salaf take from Ahlul Bid'ah or not? So you can go back to some of those lectures there on the channel. If you have access to Sharh Ilal al-Tirmidhi, I would advise you to read that. Start off with the first volume, and inshallah you'll find all of your answers there. And Ibn Rajab rahimahullah, and other scholars as well, are from the best to have summarized the madhab of the Ahl Sunnah with regards to riwayah an al-Mubtadi'. Al-Dhahabi rahimahullah and Mizan al-I'tidal as well, and many others. Alright, many others. So you can go back to those books if you read Arabic. Okay, Sharh Ilal al-Tirmidhi, an excellent starting place in which Ibn Rajab mentions that. In brief and in summary, the Salaf al-Salih, they had levels of those who they took from. Tiers. Their first selection, of course, were innovators, or people who had sins or weak memories or any flaw, whatever the flaw may be. But it doesn't mean that there weren't inferior tiers that they did take from. Rather, there were some scholars, muhaddithin, that were upon bid'ah, whether they called to it or not, but they were upon bid'ah, that were considered to be in the top tier. Those that you had to take narrations from, right? Okay? And then we all know the famous statements of Ali ibn al-Madini, rahimahullah, Imam Ahmad and others, لو تركت حديث أهل الكوفة للتشيع وحديث أهل البصرة للقدر لخربت الكتب. Okay? If I left off Kufa because of them predominantly being Shiites, and I left off the people of Basra because of them predominantly being Qadaris, the books of hadith will be empty. They'll be naked. There'll be nothing left. That's a profound statement. But that doesn't mean that that was the top tier of those who they wanted to take from. That was circumstantial. But innovators and people being accused of different innovations, it wasn't a small thing. It was a big thing. It was very popular. رُمِيَ بِالْقَدْرِ رُمِيَ بِالْإِرْجَاءِ فِيهِ تَشَيُّعْ فِيهِ نَصَبْ. That's very common in the Tarajim. All right? So they did take from innovators if they had to, or it was a major benefit, or overwhelming benefit, they did. That's a fact. And the one who says that the Salaf never ever took anything from Ahlul Bid'ah, he's either an ignorant fool or a liar that has no fragrance. His nose has never come close to the books of Hadith. Bukhari, Muslim, on down. Anyone who makes that claim and says that the Salaf and the scholars of Hadith never took anything from Ahlul Bid'ah is either a Jahil, Ahmaq, total fool, Muqallid, is a blind follower, or he's a liar, and he's a deceiver, and he's trying to trick the people, and he's trying to push an agenda. Okay? And that's because that's something which is well known, and the smallest book of Mustalah that you study, you're going to come across the issues, such as Nukhbat al-Fikr. Nukhbat al-Fikr. Ibn Hajar talks about Riwayah an al-Mubtadi', and he talks about al-Mukhtar, Sarra' bihi Juzajani, Shaykh al-Nisai, etc. That's a simple book. It's not an expert book. So how could you read Ilm al-Hadith and not come across that issue in the khilaf in that issue, and how many of the great ulama, Bukhari, Ahmed, and many others, أخذوا عن بعض المبتدعة. They took from them. They learned from them. So that's a lie. Now, do we have statements in which they warned from them, don't take from them, don't sit with them? Of course we do. And we have other statements in which they said, take from him because he's a trustworthy person, even though he's an innovator, even though he has innovation with him. لَنَا صِدْقُهُ وَعَلَيْهِ بِدْعَتُهُ شِيعِيٌّ جَلْدٌ. And we've explained all of this. You can find all of this. Please, don't take anything from me. Read Mizan al-I'tidal of Dhahabi. Read Sharh al-Tirmidhi. Read those books and you'll find the kalam of the ulama regarding this issue. Okay? At the end of the day, your teacher should be someone who's picked, who's selected. And the problem that we have in the East and the West, it's not just in the West, and obviously it started in the East and the Middle East, is that people who call themselves Salafi, they have excluded or made special and specific one reason not to take from someone, and that's it. Bid'ah, that's it, khalas. Okay, so we have someone who's supposedly on the Sunnah, but he hasn't studied it anymore. Did the Salaf take from that person? We have someone who's on the Sunnah, he studied Islam, but he's an outward public sinner. Did the Salaf take from that person? We have a person who's educated on the Sunnah, is not an outward sinner, but he's not the most accurate person, etc. So there's several different things that excluded a sheikh from having a hadith taken from him. And the problem, and one of the problems, not the only, of these people who abuse the term and have hijacked the term and try to monopolize the term, fraudulently using the term Salafi, they have made that the only issue. Don't take nothing from him because he has an innovation. And to make things even worse, they've stretched it out even further. They've stretched it out even further. The Salaf didn't take from Ahlul Bid'ah, and it also translates to they don't take from people who made a mistake. Okay, this brother, this sheikh, is he an innovator? Oh, we're not saying he's an innovator, but he's made some akhta. He's made some mistakes. Okay, no problem. Tayyib. For argument's sake, he made some mistakes. Just like your leader has made a ton of mistakes, and your sheikh or shuyukh have mistakes, and people have refuted them in hadith and aqidah and all other types of mistakes. But that's not the issue. No problem. He's made mistakes. So are making mistakes equal to bid'ah? Are making mistakes equal to him being a mubtadi'? No, they aren't. And then they stretch it out even further. Or this person's not an innovator. They haven't made mistakes, but they sit with someone who's made mistakes, who sat with someone who's made innovations, who've sat with someone who is an actual innovator. Come on, man. Like, be realistic. Okay? Let alone the fact that the origin or the original premise itself is not absolute. And you can't just say that the Salaf never ever took anything from someone. That's not true. Let alone the hypocrisy of studying Islam University of Medina, but you can't sit with the sheikh outside of the university. Even though he's your teacher and you're seeing 5 days a week. But don't sit with him outside of the university. That's not making any sense. If what you're saying is true, it would be haram for this sheikh to teach at Medina. It'd be haram to go to Medina. It'd be haram for you to study in Medina because the Salaf never took anything from innovators. And this person is a person of such and such of such and such. So it's contradiction upon contradiction upon contradiction. And all of this comes from lack of proper knowledge and then marginalizing the people who do have the proper knowledge and them trying to attack their repute or attack their reputation and slander them. And that's why they slander different people to silence them. All right? Allah musta'an. Khairan inshallah. All right. Initials MM from Montreal. Those who are gay or non-Muslim or Muslim or major sinners. A homosexual Muslim who acknowledges the impermissibility of homosexuality is still a Muslim. They are not non-Muslims. They're still Muslims. They are sinners. They have made major sins, openly, publicly, whatever. It's an abomination. It's impermissible. It's hated by Allah. But they are still Muslim. They are not kuffar. And Allah knows best. As long as they acknowledge that it's wrong and that they're sinful. Initials SO from Cairo, Egypt. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. If a husband's wife dies, is he still mahram for the mother? You can't marry the mother. If you married the daughter, you consummated the marriage, you cannot marry the mother. And Allah knows best. Initials NA from Orange County, California. How many hours do you normally sleep? I heard many great scholars only slept a few hours a night. Well, alhamdulillah, there are many great scholars who only slept a few hours out of the night. That's all you need to know. how many hours I do or don't sleep is not going to make a difference when you have great scholars in front of you. Inshallah, their example is better to take than mine. Okay? And Allah knows best. Initials BF from Queens, New York. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, you're well. I married when I was in college, and my in-laws still have my picture without hijab and niqab in their house on their walls. Is there a sin upon me? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I'm well. May Allah bless you. Ask them to take it down. But I would advise you not to get into the argument of it being permissible or impermissible. Just ask them to take it down. I don't feel comfortable. Could you please take it down for me? Inshallah, I'm just a little shy and, thank you very much. Ask them that. That's better than get into an argument of sin and is it haram and so on and so forth. The Allah knows best. Usman Farouk, salam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Punjab, Pakistan. Sheikh, please visit Pakistan. I would love to host you, inshallah. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi. We would love to go to Pakistan. We would love to visit you and visit the disciples there. May Allah make it a reality. Ameen. Samir Musallim from Cairo, Egypt. I see many bros who start to learn and memorize quickly, forget about their teachers, and also stop showing respect to their teachers. How can a student avoid pitfall? Reading the Quran. And Allah says, وَلَا تَنْسَوْا وَالْفَضْلَ بَيْنَكُمْ. All right? Don't forget the virtue that you have among each other. Ex-wife, ex-husband, you're going through a divorce. He's no good dog. She's this, she's that. She's ugly, she's stupid, she's evil. Don't forget the virtue that you had among each other. And if that's with regards to husband and wife, then what about teacher and student? So you may become more knowledgeable than your teacher. That's not impossible. Many scholars have become more greater than their teachers. But that's still your teacher. And you still have to show respect to them. And no matter what the situation, you know more, or they're innovators now, or they sit with innovators, or whatever the case may be, they're still your teachers. And you have to show respect to them. And if you read the stories of the Salaf Salih constantly, inshallah, hopefully that'll help you from falling into that pitfall with regards to, feeling yourself, smelling yourself, and forgetting about respecting your teacher. And Allah knows best. Khair, inshallah. We'll stop here tonight, guys. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all, guide you all, and keep you safe, keep you upon the sirat al-mustaqim. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.